to invite me to participate in this important meeting. And I'm honored and happy to give this lecture about non-invasive urodynamics in children. And today I will focus only on uroflowmetry and PVR. I think it would be good to talk after much more because he already introduced the basic concepts of the pediatric incontinence. I have nothing to disclose. And the importance of uroflowmetry and PVR are that we have to perform them in all patients with low urinary tract symptoms, and we should perform them before invasive urodynamic studies. And when we do uroflowmetry, you can get 7 parameters generated from uroflowmeter. They are average flow rate, maximum flow rate, time to Qmax, voiding volume, flow time, voiding time, and the number of curves. For example, this is the curve 1, curve 2, curve 3, curve 3, curve 5, 4, and 5. In addition to those parameters, we believe that flow pattern is a very important parameter we need to define. So ICCS in 2015 classified the flow pattern into 5 types: bale, tower, plateau, staccato, and interrupt. And as you can see, all these are descriptive. And only some minor objective parameters were used in the definition of the curve. For example, staccato, they mentioned that fluctuations throughout voiding greater than square root of Qmax, and the flow never reaching 0. For the interrupt, it says that if there are any segments of 0 flow, it is interrupt. So based on the descriptions, we can have typical flow pattern like this: the normal bale, the plateau, the interrupt, staccato, and tower. It seems very simple, and you can interpret it in 30 seconds. However, the agreement between observers or raters are low or moderate in Taiwan, in Japan, and also around the world. Why? Because even the bale, in Taiwan, we have different types of bale. And for the tower, the Western tower and the Oriental tower are different. For the plateau, there are many types. So how can we interpret uroflowmetry scientifically? I have worked on this issue for more than 20 years, and I would like to share my experience. I think expected bladder capacity has been introduced. I would like to introduce the lowest acceptable bladder volume. The ICCS defined only 50 ml, but according to our publication, it could be age in years multiplied 5 plus 50 ml till 150. And the bladder over distension is when the voiding volume greater than 100% EBC or bladder volume greater than 1.5% EBC. And the optimal bladder volume is the volume between lowest acceptable volume and the bladder over distension. So we have 5 steps in the interpretation of uroflowmetry curve. The first one is this small void bladder volume. The second one, is there any artifact? And the third one, adjust the scale to 1:1. The fourth step is to classify them as non-smooth or smooth curve, and then interrupt, staccato, bale, tower, or plateau. And if any abnormal, repeat it again. This is to show you the upper limit and the lower limit of the optimal bladder volume. Above this, you can have low Qmax, abnormal flow pattern, and elevated PVR. And under this, is not adequate for interpretation. Here is an example. A 4-year-old boy with bale shape first, and then 2 hours later, staccato. What happened to him? Actually, this is 80% of bladder volume. This is 140% of bladder volume. So that's why the flow pattern change Qmax decreased, PVR increased. So we use our G curve to find out the cutoff point is 114%. So we'll put it simply to 115% EBC. And here are another two examples to share with you. Staccato flow pattern, interrupt flow pattern. Actually, the 9-year-old girl has very large body volume, 490. So it's 166% of expected bladder capacity. And this 7-year-old girl, body volume, 277 ml, and the bladder volume is 127 of EBC. Both of them, when they have second curve, are normal bale. We all already know that the small bladder volume can affect flow pattern. For example, this look like small bale or interrupt. But when it's the body volume is 177 ml, peak flow rate is only 10, and it becomes a plateau shape. So smaller bladder volume, you have to repeat it again. Artifact. In the MMS Uroflowmeter, you can see the mark here. It means artifact. For example, you can see the body volume increase and decrease and increase. So this is really artifact. And also you can see body volume suddenly increase. So these are the artifacts. So you have to do it again. This is bale, tower, and plateau, but actually they are the same curve. This is 1-to-1 ratio, 2-to-1 ratio, and 1-to-4 ratio. It means 1-to-1 ratio means 1 ml per second versus 1 second. You have to adjust your report so that you can interpret the flow pattern correctly. The step 4 is to classify them into non-smooth and smooth curve. The first, I have puzzled for many years. What is interrupt curve? Is this interrupt? And this one, and also this one. This one had 12 small curve. I think most of us believe this is not an interrupt curve, just only some terminal dribbling. So I would like to introduce the concept of main curve ratio. It means that the area under curve of the largest curve, it means the red box here, divided by total bladder volume. And if this is less than 85%, you can consider interrupt. And if it's less than 70%, surely this is highly suggestive of interrupt. And in this case, you can see typical interrupt flow pattern, and the main curve ratio is less than 30%. So I think estimated main curve ratio could be used for you to classify interrupt flow pattern. Staccato flow pattern, the 3 curves are all named staccato. Let's think about the staccato. It means that the sudden decrease of flow greater than square root of Qmax. And I put on 5 ml, and whichever is lowest. And I also put on per second, because speed is important to describe the sudden. So in this way, and the curve also have to follow by a rebound of flow greater than 2 ml per second. So this is the deep drop in 1 second, and with a rebound greater than 2 ml per second. So this fulfills the criteria of deep drop. According to our observation in more than 1,500 subjects, 2,300 Uroflow curve, 73% has no deep drop, 15% has 1 deep drop, 5% have 2 drops, 5% has 3 drops. So I recommend that when there are 2 deep drops, it may be staccato, while 3 deep drops is highly suggestive of staccato pattern. Now, these are all typical staccato flow pattern because they have more than 3 deep drops. Now, bale, tower, and plateau usually classified by QMAX, and there are publications from Taiwan, India, and around the world. This is an example of the Tsuji nomogram versus Miscock nomogram. We published this result in BJU International in 2014. Make it simple is that when the child is 4 to 6 years old, the flow is greater than 11.5, 7 to 12, greater than 15 mil. If it is less than the suggested value, you can think about plateau. However, we have trouble in using only QMAX. So when we look at the literature, actually there are 6 parameters has been recommended to classify bale, tower, or plateau. QMAX, Q average, QMAX divided by flow time, QMAX divided by square root of rate volume, and also Franco-Young flow index. Slope of QMAX is an acceleration of flow. We believe that the first 4 parameters could be most important. And when we look at our healthy children and also exclude the interrupt, staccato, and the breather over distension, and then you can find that in boys, the Qmax increase with, and the Q average increase with age, and the Qmax divided by flow time or Qmax divided by square root of body volume were quite constant. It was 0.5 and 1.0. In girls, we find the same condition. You can see Qmax and Q average increase with age. And the 5 percentile of Qmax divided by flow time and Qmax divided by square root of body volume were quite constant, 0.5 and 1.0. So we recommend that when we classify plateau curve, you may consider these 2 parameters that could be useful for you to avoid unnecessary invasive study or treatment. The step 5, when you have abnormal flow pattern, please repeat it again. For example, this is a 10-year-old boy with nocturnal enuresis. You can see staccato flow pattern or interrupt flow pattern here, but the second flow pattern is bale. Because the first visit, he played on the Uroflowmeter, and he also pee outside the machine, so it looked like this. And he also had breather over distension, while the second visit, he did it perfectly. So repeat Uroflowmetry if abnormal is very important. Now let's look at the normal reference value of PVR. For the age 4 to 6, single PVR or dual PVR is 30 mil or 20 mil, 7 to 12 years old, 20 mil or 10 mil, or you can say 20% of breather volume, 10% breather volume, 15% breather volume, or 6% breather volume. And recently we checked the adolescent data, 12 to 14 years, could be 30 mil in male or 35 mil in female, 15 to 18 years old, 30 mil or 45 year male. So I think this normal reference of PVR could highlight the possibility of flow diffuser contraction. And you should consider invasive study when necessary. So the take-home message, please use objective parameters to define flow pattern. And you can use estimated mean curve ratio less than 85% to define interrupt flow pattern. And the number of these deep drops greater than 3 to define staccato pattern. Qmax and Q average are traditional criteria for plateau, but Qmax divided by flow time less than 0.5 And the Qmax distance divided by voiding volume less than 1.0 could be better or reliable parameter to define plateau shape. Anyway, when you have a normal flow pattern, please do it again. Thanks for your attention. And please come to Taiwan to visit my beautiful hospital. Thank you.